thanks again for clicking into another edition of Sasquatch Encounters. Today's guest is John, who lives in Iowa. He's had a couple experiences. The first, back in 2002, only 6 miles from his house. Please welcome to the show, John. How are you today, John?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and go over your experiences, and hopefully we can all learn from them.
Okay, great.
Yeah, now you had your first encounter, you said, about 6 miles from your house, back in 2002. Can you tell us about that one?
Yes, I can. Well, I was bird watching on the creek, and all of a sudden I heard a loud ruckus, and I happened to look over and to see this big gray object rise between two trees, two cottonwood trees, and I was probably no more than, I always say, about less than 30 yards maybe. I was real close to it.
Sure.
And it just happened within just a few seconds, and then it was gone. I swore I seen it go up one of the trees, so I rushed right over to it, and I looked up, and I didn't see it. It was gone. So I believe they do have the ability to go invisible. I truly believe that. That's what happened to me that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't give it time to run off into through the weedy field that's right there and the bluff. There's a bluff right there, and I didn't hear it after that. It was just gone. But I can tell you it was very big.
Sure.
And it was dark gray in color. I can tell the color of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the details, I can't tell you any details of the creature.
Right.
But
no, you said you were bird watching, and make sure I understood this right. You said it went from one tree to another, or was it on the ground and walked?
It was on the ground.
Okay. It was on the ground, so it walks from one tree to another, and then it went up a tree. You're pretty sure it went up a tree, and it went over there and was gone.
Well, it jumped up between those two trees. Apparently, it was resting. All the weeds was laid down,
mm-hmm.
and I swore I seen it go up one of those trees. So I rushed right over to it and looked up. It was gone.
Okay, so you're of the idea that it just basically cloaked. That's the
yes. Yep, it had to.
Okay, and now when you look at the tree, are you pretty sure that was the right tree? I mean, what time of the year was it? I guess I should ask, what time of the year was it when this happened?
This was in October.
October. Okay.
It was pretty warm. It was straight up noon.
Mm-hmm. Now the weather in Iowa in October, I would assume that most of the leaves have already fallen by then. So had it been up the tree, you would have been able to see it. It
was still kind of leafy yet.
Still a little leafy. Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty warm that day.
Did you hear anything go from one tree to another, or did you hear it moving around at all?
No, not at all. It's just like it was there and then it was gone.
Sure.
And I remember a bunch of birds taking off from the bushes nearby.
So it obviously went into that direction for sure then.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And don't get me wrong. I mean, cloaking is an idea that a lot of people believe because of the fact that they're so elusive and they can't be seen. So
mm-hmm.
Who knows? Now, when this thing went up the tree, now you said you got a pretty good look at it, but it was a very quick glance. Is that correct?
Yeah, very quick glance.
How big was it? Would you guess?
I'm guessing from from the tree, I'm guessing probably 9 feet. It was that big.
And it being a 9-foot Bigfoot, it was probably pretty heavy as well, right?
Yeah, very heavy. It was just a huge object.
Right. Do you think that the trees would be able to support that kind of weight? I mean, is that? And I don't know what the trees are like there. I'm just trying to. What I'm trying to do is an idea of the layout and the sequence of events.
Yeah, they're pretty good sized trees. They're big cottonwoods, and I would think they could support the weight of a Sasquatch.
Okay. So could it have gone higher than the leaves? Do you think it could have been just hiding in the leaves, or?
I think it was camouflaging itself.
Sure. And I think that's so. I think it's a really interesting. I think cloaking in general is a very interesting concept, because it's one thing to simply disappear and cloak, like the movie Predator and the alien in Predator, how it would just
I watched that.
Itself. Yeah, and it's another thing to camouflage itself and blend in with its environment. So, and I guess that's what I'm trying to do, is get an idea of the environment. If it was dark gray and the leaves were turning, it probably would have stuck out had it been at all visible.
Mhm.
It's very interesting. But you don't think there's any way that it could have been hiding in the leaves at all?
No, not at all. It couldn't have been. I looked all around those trees. Right. I did not see it.
Now, when you said that you're pretty sure it went up the tree, how pretty sure are you? I mean, are you 95%?
I'm 99%.
99%? That's pretty good. All right. So this thing jumps from one on the ground. It comes from behind one tree, and it probably doesn't see you until it's already out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
And then it runs behind another tree and shoots up a tree, and then it just basically disappears.
Yeah, it just disappears. It just left me in awe.
Sure. I would be completely dumbfounded had it been me. I'd have been looking around like, what in the world happened? Where'd it go?
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard stories. In fact, I talked to one gentleman who told me that he could feel it breathing down his neck. It was that close to him, behind him. And he said he turned around expecting to see Bigfoot standing right there, and he said it was nothing there. But when he reached his hand out, he said he felt a hairy chest. He couldn't see it, but he could feel it. Yeah, so that was another story that I heard. So the whole cloaking idea is definitely an interesting concept. I just think that I guess I'm just not sure how an animal could do that other than to camouflage. So we definitely want to use that as a learning experience. Now, you had another account as well, correct?
I've had several other encounters.
Okay, so tell me what happened next. What was the next encounter?
Well, the next one was right there in the same area, but in a field, right there in the same location. It was at night. Yeah, going down to the mouth of the creek to go camping. My friend had a camper down there. I used to sleep in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there was a big stand of winter wheat. Do you know what that is?
A winter wheat? No, I've never heard of that.
That's some kind of a wheat crop.
Okay.
That they have here, and it was tall enough to hide. You can walk right in there and not even be seen. And I've seen big bucks walk right in there, and you can't even see them at all. So I was going around this patch of winter wheat that was left standing in the field, and I saw these big yellow eyes staring at me down there towards the river. There's a little line of trees along the river, and there's something with big yellow eyes staring at me. So I tried to get up as close as I could, and it did not move at all. It just kept staring at me. So it kind of freaked me out. So I backed off and hustled down to the camper. Then I don't think that was a Sasquatch at all. It was something unknown down there.
Sure.
We've had encounters with unknown animals down there.
Now, let me ask you this first. The winterweed, and again, I've never seen those before. How tall do they grow?
Well, these were over 6 feet tall.
Wow. And as you go through there, you see the eyes. How far away were you when you saw those eyes, those yellow eyes?
Well, they were down there towards the river, and they were, I don't know, maybe 50 yards, maybe 60 yards, something like that. I tried to get as close as I could, and I couldn't make out what it was.
Now, how close did you get? You said you got pretty close, and then you said you realized it wasn't going anywhere, so you kind of backed off. How close did you get to it?
I don't know, maybe 20, 30 yards, something like that.
Okay. But you're saying that you don't fully believe that was so much a Sasquatch. It was just something there. How high? Yeah. How high were the eyes? Were they?
I couldn't really tell, but I could tell it was a big creature.
Right.
My friend had seen a dog man down there, and I kind of wonder if it was maybe one of those big guys. I don't know. Or maybe a black panther, something like that, big cat.
Sure.
But definitely something there watching me. And so I ran down to the camper, and I shined my flashlight up there, and I could still see those big yellow eyes.
Were they reflective when you got the light on them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, in that area, are there big cats known to be in the area?
Yeah, my friend claimed to have seen a 800-pound black cat come up to her and scream at her like it was in pain.
Wow, that's a big cat.
Mhm. And then on this creek where I seen the Sasquatch, she found a set of huge canine prints down there, over 6 inches long and 4 inches wide.
Wow.
And somebody said it was from the dog man.
Well, there's obviously some stories running around about the dog man as well, and it's just another one of those cryptid animals that we just don't know enough about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they seem like they have some kind of a supernatural to them.
Right. And I want to point out that, to our listeners who are probably thinking, cloaking isn't real and this and that's not real. I can tell you that, I've done a little research myself on some oddities in the animal world, and I learned that there's actually some lemurs I can't remember where they were, but they hibernate. Now this is a primate that hibernates, so that's an oddity as well that I wouldn't have believed had I not read it. And then there's another primate that is actually poisonous, which really boggled my mind. So things that we think are out of the norm or out of the realm of possibility, sometimes they're really not. They are possible.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to move on just a little bit. So you see the yellow lights. You shine a light on them. They reflect back. Did they ever move at all, or were they just stationary the whole time?
Looked like it was in the same place, like a same area.
Right. Do you think it moved from one tree to another, maybe to get a better look at you, or was it just like I said, just stationary?
I think it was just there. Just stayed right there and
Okay.
waited till I was gone.
Gotcha. Now, after this, what happened after this?
Well, after the night of those yellow eyes, I went back down there again, and I was going around this winter wheat again, and I came across these big green eyes close to the ground. I noticed they were probably anywhere from, I'm assuming 6 to 8, 9 inches apart. I mean, they were far apart, and I seen it move its head sideways, and it only showed one eye, and that freaked me out right there.
Sure.
So I backed off, went around this winter wheat again, and I kept shining my flashlight over that way, and then I saw those big green eyes looking over the winter wheat, looking straight at me, probably within 20 feet or so.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I was close. That made me really hustle back down to the camper.
Sure.
But it didn't follow me or nothing. I'm guessing it had to been over 7 feet tall.
That's what I was getting ready to say. It would have to been
the eyes.
For 6 foot. It would have to been at least 7 foot to see the eyes.
Yeah.
What part of if you don't mind my asking, what part of Iowa is this?
What kind of Iowa? What do you mean?
I'm sorry. What part of Iowa? Like, is it northeast,
southeast,
northwest, southeast? Okay.
There's a lot of forests down here and hills and rivers.
I've been to Keokuk. That was a pretty nice little town there.
Which town?
Keokuk.
Keokuk?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm approximately 30 to 50 miles up the river from Keokuk.
Sure. It's it's beautiful country, that's for sure, and it's not beyond belief that there's going to be some form of cryptid animal out there. So now you've seen yellow lights, you've seen green lights, or I'm sorry, not lights, I'm sorry, eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had any other encounters besides those?
Yeah, I've had encounters out here in our state park.
Okay, what happened there?
Okay, I live adjacent from a large state park. It's one of the biggest in Iowa.
Okay.
And right along the river here, and a lot of trails back in there. There's a small lake in the middle of the park, and back in late March of 2012, I told my girlfriend to let's go out in the park and look for Bigfoot, see if we can find any. Anyways, we tried the state forest, which is connected to the park, and we didn't have much luck at all. So I told her, let's go over to the other side of the park and walk down to the lake, because Bigfoot are often seen around lakes and streams. Mm-hmm. So we went, and as we was walking down to down the trails, we smelled a real strong odor, and it just vanished. It just faded away.
Now, do you think it was just because maybe something was there and saw you coming, and then it just kind of exited the area to keep from having any contact?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I knew we had a Bigfoot close by, being checked out. Then as soon as we got down close to the lake, 2 huge rocks were thrown in the lake. And she thought there were big fish jumping in the water. And I told her, no, those aren't fish. Those are big rocks being thrown.
Right.
we just found Bigfoot.
Now, did you?
So,
Go ahead. You can go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
so okay, and then we went out there off and on, the next year, and we always had rocks thrown in the lake at night. One night, 5 big rocks were thrown in the lake. This was in October of 2012, and I then right after that 5th rock, which was farther on down on the side that we was on, we heard some kind of a call on the other side of us. So I made my whoop call that I do, and it responded right back to me. And she said it was trying to mock me.
Well, I think that's a good possibility. I mean, I'm a firm believer that the Bigfoot will mimic the sounds that it hears in order. And again, everybody's got their own opinions, but in my opinion, they mimic the sounds they hear to try to fit in and go unnoticed. That's what I think. But go ahead, go on with your story, because this is interesting. So you had some rocks thrown in the creek, in the river, but downriver a little ways.
Lake.
In the lake. I'm sorry, in the lake. And so what happens next?
Now she said it sounded like my call, but with a chimpanzee-like quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, we've had them mock me several times, and they sound just like my call that I do, and it sounds very human. She thinks there's campers or hikers out there messing with us, but we make sure there's nobody around before we go out.
Right.
And when I do my call, if there's people at the cabins, I've had guys, whoop back at me. But these whoops are always on the other opposite side of the lake from us.
Mm-hmm. Were you ever able to see anything over there? Any eye shine or?
Yeah, I did back in October.
Okay.
Last year. Okay, we went down to the dam and parked and walked across the dam and to the trail on the other side of the lake. And we didn't get very far, and all of a sudden a big rock smacked the water, probably no more than 100 feet from us. It was really close. So I did my whoop call that I do, and I got one right back up there at the dam where we was just at. And then others started joining in. Often when they whoop back at me, others will join in. So I know there's quite a few of them. So it get very, very vocal with me. It's like they're trying to communicate with us.
Sure. Now, do they sound like they're spread out pretty good, or do they seem like they're all in the same area?
Some of them sound like they're off in the distance a little ways.
Okay.
It's like they're communicating.
Well, there's a lot of talk about when they're being very boisterous, we'll say, that they're trying to keep track of each other, that they want to know where each other is at to make sure they're okay, I guess. Is that the impression you were getting?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So they weren't real...
Sure sounds like them.
Right.
And
Hello?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. It's happened several times to us out there.
Have you ever gotten any audio of this or any pictures or anything like that?
I ain't been able to get audios yet, but I'm working on it.
Sure.
I think it'll happen one of these days. They don't seem to be very active right now. Haven't been having much activity at all out there, but that'll change.
Right. How often do you go out there?
Usually 2 or 3 times a week.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
I go out there quite a bit. I go out there by myself or with my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. And it's been pretty slow recently. What time of year do you expect it to pick back up? I mean, I guess it was in March that you had the one experience.
Yeah, March, April, June last year, I had a whoop back at me. And then October was very active.
So basically, spring and fall are the two big times.
Well, actually, July is probably the best. Down there, down the river here. July is always my favorite.
Mm-hmm. What kind of experiences have you had in July?
Well, I had a rock thrown. I was sitting on the back porch. I was doing something, and rested my eyes for a little while, and all of a sudden I heard a big bang on the roof.
Oh, wow.
And made me jump up and run into the house and look out, and didn't see anything. But my friend said there was a female that likes to throw things at the house. Mm-hmm. And I've experienced that before, back in around 2002. There were rocks being thrown at the camper up there by the house, and hitting a horse trough by the barn. And I remember smelling a skunk-like odor while I was there, too.
During that same time?
Yeah, during the same time, yeah. And it just faded away. And then back in July, I was out picking up night crawlers in the yard, and I started hearing sticks breaking, real close, and I shined the flashlight down there and don't see anything. She's been seeing Bigfoot around her house for over 20 years.
Wow.
And she still does.
And this is your girlfriend, right?
No, this is my friend.
Your friend.
Colin.
Okay, sorry.
This is my friend.
Sure. Now, has she ever told you about what she's seen or described what she has seen to you?
Yeah, all the time. I got everything written down.
Sure.
And every time she'd have an encounter down there, she'd call me up, and I'd get right down there and spend the night and tromp around.
Sure. Well, and that's great. That's what we should be doing. What kind of description has she given you on what she has seen?
Well, she spirit talks with them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, are you referring to like the mind speak theory?
Yeah, mind speak. Yep.
Okay. And what? How has that gone? What has she said?
Well, she has one coming up to the house, calling her name.
Mm-hmm.
She often hears. Well, the last time I was down there, that was last week, and she was telling me she's hearing a kind of like a screechy scream or something like that, and grunting and stuff like that. And so I went down there, and I heard a screech down there. And I thought it was a screech owl at first, but it didn't do it again. So I So I do believe they do mimic, owls and, other animals.
Sure. I agree 100%. I think they do that. I agree. I think they do
I've heard them try to imitate barred owls out here at the lake, and it doesn't quite sound right to me. And I know owl sounds very well.
Right. Being pretty familiar with them, I guess, being in the area.
Yeah, well, I'm a bird watcher, and so I know bird sounds very well. I'm very experienced, and I've heard strange bird sounds down there, and that I could not identify.
Right. Now, if they're mimicking these sounds, are they mimicking sounds of birds that they may have heard somewhere else? I mean, you mentioned that you would recognize the sound, but it didn't sound like anything you'd heard before, but it sounded like a bird. So, I mean, how would you attribute to them mimicking a bird that may not be in that area? Do you think they just heard it somewhere else?
Okay, this one bird that I was hearing down, Connie was hearing it too, and that's something I've never heard around here before. So yeah, I think they do mimic birds from other areas, not just around here.
Sure.
So I do agree with that.
And the reason I ask that is because something like that may give a little credence to the fact that they sometimes, they're mobile and they just kind of pass through. You know what I mean? So that's why I was kind of asked that question. So have you ever felt like you were threatened? Did you ever feel threatened by these things at all, other than being scared? I mean, which I can understand. Have you ever felt threatened?
No, we've never been threatened. We've had them all around us out here at the lake, and we've not felt any kind of danger or anything from them.
Good. So now you've had this experience, and you in October of 2012. I'm sorry, March 2012, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything since then?
Back in October last year.
Okay.
I had the rock thrown within 100 feet from us. Okay, this was October 19th, and we went out there again on the 20th. We walked over there again, the same area. So I thought, I'm gonna grab a couple of big rocks and throw them in and see what happens. Sure. If they throw one back, okay, we got to a bench and sat down for a while, rested, just listened, and so I threw the big rocks in, and then it wasn't very long. A huge rock was thrown in up there by the point, and then it was followed by a beaver smacking its tail, which didn't sound anything like the big rock.
Right.
So now I've had researchers, ask me if I wasn't hearing, beaver smacking their tail in the water, and I can tell the difference between them.
Sure.
The rocks are big and they go in way deep.
Yeah, they kind of go kerplunk.
It's just like a kaboosh, like that.
Right.
You can tell you'd have to be superhuman to throw them out there in the middle of the lake. And then back on the 20th, after he threw the rock in, and it got real quiet, I told her, let's go over to the other side. It's not a very big lake, not very wide, and I told her, let's go over to the beach and scan the shoreline with our flashlights, and we no more than got down to the beach. there's a bunch of stairs right there, a big hill, and so I scanned the shoreline with my flashlight, and my God, I spotted one. I spotted eye shine over where we normally hear rocks being thrown in the lake, and I know it wasn't no deer or anything like that. It looked like it was too big, too tall, and I told her to look over there real quick, and by the time she looked over there, it had crouched down. Looked like it crouched down, and then it was gone. It was there, and then it was gone.
So, but you only saw the eye shine, though, right?
Yeah, the eye shine. Okay, and then
go ahead, keep going.
Okay, then after that, I went over there to investigate. Well, there's a big bush right there where he can easily crouch down and not be seen, and the grass and the weeds were all laid down in that area. You can tell something's been tromping through there. I don't think it was deer. I don't think deer could have done all that.
Right.
And then there's a tree breaks right there. There's two of them that's real close together, and they're both about the same height. And I had a BFRO investigator out there, and he couldn't find any evidence of trees falling down on them, or
or any kind of natural occurrence. It looked like something had broken them. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. That actually leads me to my next question, because that's what I was going to go next. Was, have you ever found any footprints or tree breaks or anything along those lines?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
And, okay, right there is the tree breaks are both. I noticed they're both about the same height, and just the right height for a 9-10 foot squatch.
Mm-hmm. And were they going in? Had they fallen in the same direction?
The same direction. Yep.
Okay.
And then, and not too long ago, I found what looks like a cross formation. Looks like a cross formation. I never noticed that before. And it was pointing up towards, up in the wood there, up on top of the hill.
And the cross formation was made of what? Just two trees, or two trees that have been broken?
Tree. I noticed one of them was a beaver cut, and how did it get up there like that? I have no idea.
So this was.
It looked exactly like a cross.
And this is something that was on the ground, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As if a Squatch had found it and carried it up there and made the cross.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. How about footprints? I mean, what size have you been finding?
Well, my friend down there, down the river here, she showed me a 15-inch footprint. And then she has a plaster cast, which is 18 inches, that she found in her yard. And she's had other Bigfoot groups find footprints down there too, as well as activity too.
Sure.
She's had all kinds of people down there over the years.
Now you mentioned that the BFRO was out there. What was their final report? I mean, what did they say?
Well, I submitted my sighting out there, to their website, and and then this guy showed up, and I took him out there, and he found all kinds of evidence of, the Bigfoot being out there, and he got real excited and everything, and he wanted to do a spring investigation. He wanted to spend a lot of time down here, and this guy lives about 40 miles from here.
Mm-hmm.
So he said he was going to plan to spend a lot of time here. Well, anyways, he changed his mind, and he feared that other Bigfoot researchers had their eye on the state park, and he wanted all the credibility to himself. So he just canceled everything,
wow,
including my sightings and everything.
So he just decided not to do it at all because you thought that he was just trying to get some notoriety, basically.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, John, what else have you come across?
Well, 20 miles from here, I was bird watching on a trail that goes across this creek. There's a creek bridge, and I scared something. I heard a loud ruckus underneath the bridge, so I jumped off my bike real quick. This is like late March, early April, and but I didn't. This was like in 2007, something like that. I think it was around there. So I jumped off my bike real quick and looked, and I heard something big crashing through the timber going up over the hill. I thought, what that could be. So I went up the creek, see if I can see it, and then I come across these two teepee structures that were up a ways from the creek, and I've got photos of them.
Great. How tall were these structures? Were they like man-sized, or were they just little structures on the ground?
These are quite large. They're all standing up against a tree,
mm-hmm.
and they're kind of crossed together, so they were kind of lodged in real tight, where you couldn't move them. And there was one good-sized tree, looked like it was pushed over and it formed a teepee. You can tell something had stood them up there. And I found something very similar that's close by, and I found some other sticks that were, they look like kind of like markers, but they're low to the ground. You can tell they were put there. And then these sticks are probably 10, 11 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. They're pretty good size, and they're all loose, all but that tree that's been pushed over. And then later, well, before that, I had something happen to me right before I found those teepees.
Okay. And what do you mean when you say something happened to me? What are you referring to?
Something something very very strange. I knew I had a Sasquatch, and it was messing with my mind. I swear he was messing with my mind.
Okay, and when you say messing with your mind, I mean, in what way was it messing with your mind? What was the feeling you were getting?
The feeling? Let's see. Well, let me tell you about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, when I scared the animal underneath the bridge, that was like 10 o'clock that morning. And I found those teepees that morning, too. So I thought I'd go back up there in the evening and check things out. And I got up over this hill. I was bird watching like I always do. And I thought I seen something down there. And so I started looking around, and I spotted looked like a rotting deer carcass laying between two trees. I can see the body and the tail, but I couldn't see the head. But I can see ribs and stuff showing, you know. And I thought that was weird because I didn't see it there that morning.
Right.
I thought, what in the world? So I went down to investigate, and when I got down there, it was gone. It wasn't even there. So I went back up to that same spot where I had spotted and looked down there, between those two trees. It wasn't even there. I swore I just seen a deer laying there. And then I went down there, probably no more than 40, 50 feet, 60 feet maybe a little bit more than that. I mean, it didn't take me long to get down there.
Sure.
and it was gone. I didn't hear anything, you know, before or after I got down there. I was looking all around, you know. So I kind of wonder if there was one down there that was invisible, you know, turned invisible.
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain the deer carcass.
So I mean, are you saying that you think that it put the image in your head, or do you think it took it?
I think it took it.
Okay.
I'm pretty aware, you know. I'm pretty observant, you know, when it comes to birds. You know, something got my attention in the first place, so I started looking at my binoculars, and that's when I spotted it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be a weird experience. I mean, that would be odd. Now, and let me just clarify this real quick. When you're looking at birds, you're using a pair of binoculars, you said, right?
Yep, pair of binoculars.
And how far away would you say you were when you saw it through the binoculars?
That was probably, let's see, less than 100 feet.
Wow.
It was less than 100 feet.
So in that little amount of time, Bigfoot probably took it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Well, John, I'll tell you what, man. You've shared some interesting theories, some interesting ideas, and I hope our listeners can listen to this and say, you know, I remember something like that happening to me. You know, I think you've done a great job documenting your experiences. And I definitely commend you for that. Hopefully you keep that up. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I can't think of anything right now.
Right. Well, I find it very interesting, and there's actually a couple things you said today that I can kind of look back and go, you know, someone else told me something very similar to that. You know, so I'm not discounting your experiences. I think that anything is possible, and I hope our listeners can look at it the same way, because, like I said, I've heard other people who have said things very similar to what you're telling me now. So, it may not be as far-fetched as some people will think, And now I got to ask you one more question, though, and I want you to understand, I'm only asking you this because I want to make sure that people realize that this isn't the case, or maybe it is the case. But so no offense taken, no offense meant by this, but you don't do drugs or anything of that nature, right?
No drugs.
No drugs, no alcohol. You're not drunk while you're out there.
No,
you're not drinking.
No.
So you are of sound mind and body when you're out there, right?
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, John. Well, hey, buddy, I appreciate you taking the time today to go through your stories and your experiences. Definitely interesting. I think that these theories should at least be looked at in a more serious light than what they seem to be by people now. You know what I mean? And,
right.
And I hope that they do get looked at. But when you get something else, when you get some new information or something else has happened, click me a message. Let's hear.
I will.
Let's see what you got going on.
That.
All right, buddy. Well, I thank you for being a guest on the show today. And with that, we will let you go.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.